Hello everyone, I am Tacit and today I'm going to be going over the new Gems of War Mythic of the Mistmother. So we have finally gotten a good Faerie Fire option. We have had quite a few things that can Faerie Fire things one at a time with various different means. Queen Titania being the most noteworthy one for pretty much since the mechanic has existed, just because it has a decent amount of damage on its ability while also having Faerie Fire per extra turn. There are things that can also do Faerie Fire and extra things, like Faerie Fire and Freeze, Faerie Fire and I believe in Tango or something else similar to that, but as well as troops that can 4 times Faerie Fire. However, we have never had one that have gotten the ability to do so basically for free. It is 4 times Faerie Fire per extra turn, which is really absurdly good for so many things, as it guarantees with one single extra turn, assuming the enemy has no immunity to it, that you'll end up Faerie Firing the entire enemy team. And if they do have immunity, of course there are mechanics like Stun and Curse in order to go and get rid of their immunity so that you can get Faerie Fire. Faerie Fire, of course, being 50% extra damage whenever you do spell damage. And this is spell amplification, so even things that don't normally benefit from magic do gain a benefit from it. For example, Tesla, something that specifically does not gain any benefit at all from magic, does gain a benefit from the 50% extra magic damage from Faerie Fire, as it's simply amplifying how much damage you're doing and is not necessarily boosting off of the magic itself. So things that normally wouldn't be able to boost from it, like that, will be able to. So overall, really strong. Its ability is a little less powerful though. It's kind of funny because to this day, Queen Titania still is winning in that regard as far as the ratio between ability and capability of Faerie Firing. However, yeah, this thing's damage not the greatest. It deals some damage to all enemies boosted by Faerie Fire gems, or enemies, which not too bad, given that you're generally going to be up against a 4 times Faerie Fired enemy team. It is 24 extra damage, so, you know, that does get to add up a little bit. And the nice thing here is it does have a little bit of follow-up potential. Gets to convert 3 skulls into 2 times wild cards, which of course if there are 3 or less skulls on the board, you'll know exactly where they go. And since they are wild cards, they do have a decent chance, even though it's only 3 of them, that you will end up getting extra turn. Problem with this is it can be a little bit more unpredictable if there are 4 or more skulls on the board. Though generally there tends to be a pretty small amount, especially if you have a way of board clearing and everything else, as long as there's not like a skull storm or anything. But of course it's 4 times Faerie Fire is its main gimmick, and let's go get it. It's in the available in Glory, Gem, Guild, and VIP chests. And then it'll be in the drop table with everything else starting on next Friday. So you have basically until the end of Thursday, Friday reset time next week in order to go and get this thing. So if you don't end up getting it now, of course, we have Vault Weekend all weekend, so you can go and end up grinding out resources for that. And of course, you have all the way basically to the end of Thursday next week to go and get whatever other keys you need if you do not get it yet. All right, let's start trying to get this thing. We'll do 50 at a time. See if we can end up getting it early. Our luck has not been the greatest on them lately, but we'll see how far we go. It looks like we started at, what, 29,000 on the dot, so it should be pretty easy to keep track of how badly we're doing. You know what? I'm going for the 200 button. I'm bringing it out already. Actually, no, let me go get it to a nice number first. Let me go get it to 400 there. We have now used 800. Still don't have it. 1,000. Come on. I know you're in there. We're officially over drop rate. Oh no, how many times is it going to take us? Well, at least we'll be able to get all the stuff that's in drop table these days. As far as troops we need. As while the Mythic is only the new Mythic, of course, everything else is still the full wide drop table. Ooh, we are going to go like triple over drop rate? Oh no. Oh, we just got Glitter Claw. Glitter Claw is actually the other 4 times Faerie Fire one. There's a few ones that can kind of do it, but it always had the issue of being on cast, which made it a lot clunkier to use. Though, of course, this thing ends up doing it off of just simply a single extra turn. Also, its typing's rather interesting. Fae and Dragon. Dragon obviously benefits from this a lot by having... it basically has 3 categories that it covers, and it's pretty good in all 3. Dragon, of course, benefits from this, as almost all dragons hit all enemies, and be able to hit all enemies harder, really good for 50% extra damage. Fae, really good, because you get a lot of extra magic bonuses from it, and you're probably going to use this as your main damage amplification for it, particularly in things like PvP. And of course we have things like Bright Farce, which is very Faerie Fire heavy, and while you might have a little bit of redundancy because of that, you might have like a double Faerie Fire kind of option, you do get a lot of extra stat synergy if nothing else, which we do actually have a team that shows it for the low rarity one, as the amount of extra magic that you end up getting it is pretty solid for whatever you're going to be using it into. And of course extra magic benefits a lot since his main gimmick is 50% more damage to basically all enemies whenever you cast a spell. So let's go get this thing upgraded and yeah, let's go test this out. So there is one very, very juicy team that this thing is probably going to be absurdly, ridiculously over the top meta for. And that is definitely going to be the first thing we're going to be trying. You probably already saw it because we were showing the things earlier. However, there is one very, very specific angle I want to go take immediately when doing this. And that is, of course, the one-shot Explore 12. While this has been possible in the past, it has required quite a bit of a setup to realistically get away with it. But now, not that much setup at all. All you really have to do is make sure you get a single extra turn, of course, using it with the new Flower Dragon as well. New Flower Dragon, not sure if it's required as far as damage range. Obviously, it has a bit of a bitter damage range than Stellarix, but I'm not sure if it's actually required, as you are getting quite a bit of other bonuses on top of it. So we'll go test it out, see what ends up happening, and go from there. Of course, all teams will be in the description below if you want to go and copy-paste any of them. But yeah, moment of truth. Does this one-shot Explore 12? Because huge if so. Like, absolutely massive. Of course, using new Flower Dragon, using the new troop that just came out today, the 4x Faerie Fire. Using Mistmother. Mistmother is just for extra stats. We also gain extra 3 magic since the whole team is purple. And obviously Leprechaun for getting things rolling. As you can see, they are all Faerie Fired. We're just going to go get our mana off of Leprechaun. And moment of truth, is this one shot? Oh, it exists. Oh, I know what I'm doing this weekend for Vault Event Weekend. Oh, sorry, Explorer 1. You've been replaced. The only problem is sourcing the extra turn can be a little hard sometimes. For example, we have not sourced the extra turn yet. So I'm not sure what we do in a situation like this. This is a time when it does go a little bit slower, as we don't directly have a way of extra turning if we don't end up having a situation like this. So this might be something that we might need to tweak as far as the team down the line, because you can see this is taking way, way too long now, as it is very dependent on getting the extra turn. And assumably we would get that early on, but there are going to be situations where it does take a little bit longer than normal. So that could be a bit of a liability, where you are going to have some battles that really, really suffer from that. I'm trying to think what else we could do. We could go like double empower. If it turns out we don't need Mistmother, we could go 2 different empowers, and that would cover it. Ideally, we have a situation like this where we just immediately have it, and then boom, dead. Oh yeah, immune to Faerie Fire things. We'd probably have to do this in a place that has no immune to Faerie Fire. The only problem with that, true, is there a place with none? I almost forgot about that, because that was the whole triple damage burning thing too. Okay, so this might have a few more complications then. Because we also have the factor of... Okay, so this might not work out then. Interesting. Because yeah, we would also need a way to curse them. Like 4x curse. And while that does exist, we'd of course have to give up something like Mistmother. It really comes down to, does the team have enough damage without Mistmother? Because if the answer is yes, then of course, yeah, we can just do it that way. Oh yeah, also, things having 20% extra stats this week also does not help. Of course, we'd probably want to do it at a location where it doesn't have that. So we can do that real quick. I forget what the bonus even is. Sword's Edge probably doesn't have it. Let me go try Sword's Edge real quick. So let's go. I'll probably got to keep it with Mistmother for the copy-paste. However, I do want to go try Obsidius, probably. We just need something that's purple that has stun. I mean, the reason we want purple is just a little bit extra magic. It's not that big a deal, but, you know, if we can get it for free already. Alright, so let's see if this does it this way. Oh, yeah, make sure to put your Obsidius before your Mistmother if you're going to be doing a team like this. The way that traits work is they work from bottom left to top right. So if we were to trigger something on our team, it would work from the top down. So we'd want the stun to end up hitting, or curse, depending on which one you're going for, before you end up doing Faerie Fire. If you do it the other way around, it'll Faerie Fire first and then stun, which of course is not what we want. So make sure to put your Obsidius in front of your thing, so it actually does. Let's see if there's enough damage without the Mistmother. If so, gosh, that's a lot of damage. So as you can see, they're all stun Faerie Fired, so even if they had immune to Faerie Fire, did any of them have it? Let's see. Do any of you have immune to Faerie Fire? No. But if they did, they would have had it removed because of the stun. And then we go for the one shot. Okay, never mind. We are showing this for one for the copy paste then. Scrap the Mistmother. This bypasses all Faerie Fire. Well, there we go. Alright. Now the only issue is trying to source your extra turn, which some battles you'll get really easily, other battles not so much. That is a bit of a liability. I'm not really sure how to solve that other than try to replace out Leprechaun for I guess you could always double cast Flower Dragon if you really wanted to, but that kind of defeats the point of this team. And then I just try to one-shot. But the alternative, of course, is just double cast Flower and just hope that ends up working out. But I guess you can kind of do it like a Rowan team, where if it gets like a 4x green or blue, like, you know, auto kills immediately. Whereas this is kind of similar, where if you get any extra turn, you auto kill immediately. Otherwise, you get a slower battle if you don't have it, where you have to double cast Flower Dragon. Oh no, that's a bit of a liability still, though. It is impressive that it can one-shot Explore 12, but its consistency, not the greatest. The other alternative, of course, is replacing out Leprechaun for an Empower Troop or something similar. Oh no, I think we still keep it Leprechaun, though. Of course, you also get that Bright Forest synergy. Like, when you see a battle like this is, like, perfect. But obviously you don't always get that kind of battle. It's interesting that it can one-shot Explore 12. I'm just not sure if that's going to be the angle to go. It's definitely very strong, though. But compared to just double-casting Flower Dragon or double-casting Stellaryx or, you know, the similar teams, I'm just not sure if that's replacing it due to their higher consistency compared to getting the extra turn. It's sourcing the extra turn that's really a big issue. Because if we do go in a Power Trip that has a Convert, you're not always going to have alignment for that Convert either. Like, just because we go Converter doesn't mean we'll automatically have the alignment every time either. So, yeah, it's definitely strong. It's definitely really good for it. I'm just not sure if it's definitely going to be replacing it or not. Anyways, next team. We're going a Tesla build. As we were mentioning, Tesla does benefit quite heavily from, you know what, might as well just keep doing Sword's Edge. Tesla does benefit quite heavily from Faerie Fire. While there have been some ways to get Faerie Fire with her in the past, it has never been as consistent as this, ever. So all we have to do is just go get Bork up. This gets absolutely everything up on the team. We have a full mana on everything. Obviously, we have not received our extra turn yet, but we just cast Wand and go claim our extra turn real quick. And make sure there's no extra turns on the board just so the enemy doesn't get it. And then we could go do our Tesla. And of course, it's 50% boosted and is nearly a one-shot. That is so nice. We're getting a lot of armor here as well, which is really good. I'll go for the Bork here and just double cast Tesla. I'm curious if there's a situation where we actually can get enough damage to one-shot. One thing that could help a lot, of course, is if we go really, really heavy into armor. So let's go do that real quick. I'm going to go literally all armor because magic's obviously not helping her at all. She does not gain any benefit from the magic, but she does gain benefit from the magic amplification that we're, of course, getting from the new Mistmother Mythic. No extra turn immediately. That's fine. Start getting Bork up, and worst comes to worst, we just cast Wand. We're good to go from there. A little bit of a bad start. I kind of want to try for the Sky Drop. Didn't get it. Come on, we just need a little bit of mana. Come on, a little bit of mana? At this point, I might as well just cast Wand to get things rolling then. That should be everything we need. Cast a board. No, still no extra turn, really? Gosh, this thing, why does it feel so hard to get an extra turn with this thing sometimes? Alright, there we go. Is this enough damage now? Yes. One-shot Tesla. Ooh. You don't even need a Flower Dragon or anything. You can one-shot Explore 12 with Tesla now. You could before, too, with the armor setup and everything. But this should, on average, be a bit quicker as long as you don't get really unlucky at the start of battle. You just basically got to get Bork up immediately. Cast Tesla. Dead? Dead. Almost dead. Yeah, you need really high stats for it, though. We are missing a lot of armor kingdom upgrades, of course. We definitely don't have max armor. But if you have, like, a really average or even early game amount of armor, yeah, you're definitely going to have to double cast. Interesting. Still a lot of damage, though. And, of course, you can use this for PvP and other similar things as well. Alright, now, the low rarity team. So 4 times Bright Forest. This is also 4 times Fae, if you're ever doing it for either restriction. I haven't really been showing the bonuses too much, but this one is very noteworthy to mention it for. It has 16 additional magic, as well as a bunch of extra stats. But 16 extra magic definitely being the biggest thing here. We're also using Hierophant. Hierophant has Cleanse on extra turn, triple damage burning to first slot. And we're using that with this weapon, which can end up burning the first slot. You end up getting this for free just from leveling up Hero. Just put a bunch of red into Mastery. Mistmother is, of course, what we're building around. Queen of Tanya is the highest rarity thing on this team, though if it was a Bright Forest week, it's pretty easy to get through event keys. And you might have even gotten one while trying to get Mistmother. And Leprechaun, of course, is just a standard mana accumulator here. But it is 4 times Bright Forest. It is 4 times Fae. And yeah, so go give it a shot. A lot of extra bonuses. Obviously using the old Faerie Fire with the new Faerie Fire. We are using pretty much primarily the 2 of them as the damage source. Of course, we don't have a different damage source, so the Queen of Tanya plus the dragon is our damage source. Which is the first time we're actually using the dragon for its actual cast. I don't think we've cast it a single time yet. It is decently comparable to how much damage a Queen of Tanya does, except with a different way of extra turning. So they're both very similar in that regard. So here we're doing 74 to all enemies, here we're doing 79 to all enemies, so it has 5 higher base damage. But of course, if you account for the full boost ratio, assuming the enemy could be boost ratio, keep in mind this team does not have stun. You could go Wand and try to offset it that way, though keep in mind Wand is not a Bright Forest weapon, whereas this Summer's Fury is. a Bright Forest weapon. So under Bright Forest restriction, you would not be able to run Wand, but under any other restriction, you would be able to run Wand for your weapon here. So if you do want to do the Wand replacement, you can under those circumstances. But yeah, they're both basically doing the same amount of damage. The base damage seems to be about 5 off compared to each other. However, the difference there is the boost ratio. Whereas Queen Titania is based on all red allies and enemies, which currently, of course, it's dependent on how many red enemies there are. Whereas this is always going to be consistent, assuming you could 4 times Fair Fire to the opposing team at a consistent 24 additional damage. So they're both basically hitting the same thing more often than not, just to give or take a little bit depending on how many reds are within the battle for Queen Titania. Whereas the Mistmother's damage is a lot more consistent. Only really stopped by the amount of immunities on the opposing team if you don't have any way of countering it. But we'll create a little bit of red here, keep getting that down. Of course, all physical damage also ends up getting amplified there. And we still have not cast this dragon a single time yet, by the way. It still has not happened. Wow. All right, let's try getting it once. We haven't actually cast it yet. I want to cast it once. Oh, I actually need that too. It is Vault Event weekend, so yeah, that's the main thing we're after. That's the main verse I'm lowest on right now. So that is what we are looking for, more so than anything. All right, let's get a bunch of red here. We're going to double cascade that. Get our mana going. Maybe a Leprechaun here? Do we go for Leprechaun? I think it's a little overkill. I'm going for it, though. Get our mana going. Hopefully I have enough reds in play. Luckily got a Red Storm as well. I believe Red Storm is from Hierophant. It has Red Storm at start of battle, which is pretty nice. Obviously you don't get to use it the whole fight, but for the start for Leprechaun and everything else, nice to get things rolling. Though not when you miss like that. Luckily the AI didn't end up taking the one move, so that kind of helped us. Can we finally get our move? I want to go get this thing up so we can go cast it for the first time. It looks like we could finally get it. So, of course, we do have an unfortunate amount of skulls on the board right now. A lot of them are really awkwardly placed, too, in a way where I'm actually not sure if I want to go for this right now. I think we end up going for this and try to align it a little bit better here. And now we go for it and see if we can end up getting it. Oh, nice! We did end up getting it. Actually, all 3 of them got converted. Though we already did enough damage to win, so it still ended up working out. But if we didn't end up winning there, we would have gotten over red mana back from the triple wild card that it did. As we'll always create at least 3, of course, if there's at least 3 skulls on the board. And if there's more than that on the board, then it's random where they end up going. And if there's less, then, you know, every single one that is on the board will end up getting converted. Which can sometimes be a good thing, because even if there's only 2 on the board, you at least know guaranteed where the 2 wild cards are going. I would say it's a little bit less consistent at extra turning compared to Queen Titania, as generally when you're building a Queen Titania team, you have some way, shape, or form of getting more reds on the board, either through Red Storm or, you know, things that create red directly and other similar things. So generally on Queen Titania teams, you can control the amount of reds a lot better. Whereas this thing is going to be a lot more unpredictable as far as when you can extra turn. So even though its damage is comparable to Queen Titania, or even in some cases even slightly better, it does have the downside of having less overall extra turn potential compared to Queen Titania, but definitely has a way better Fair Fire option, obviously, with the 4 times Fair Fire compared to only a singular Fair Fire per extra turn. But overall, yeah, great Mythic. A lot of use cases for in the future. Curious to see what kind of teams it's going to get used on, as there's a lot more than what we showed today. As we didn't even go over a Dragon team, though, of course, obviously, most of the Dragon team, well, I guess technically we went over a Dragon team. It's not a pure Dragon team, obviously. Flower Dragon is a Dragon team. But yeah, it's going to have a lot of cases where it's used with dragons. It's going to have a lot of cases where it could be used with its kingdom. Honestly, all around, really great Mythic. 100% advise getting it. And yeah, I would say it's definitely in the better half of Mythics in the game. I'm not sure if I would say top 10. 4 times Fair Fire is very strong, but you generally need a lot of stuff to build around it to really make it work. So you have to really build out your team around it. It's not something, well, I guess it is still something you can kind of plop on a team, especially if you're going Wand of Stars, because the main solve for is just have Wand of Stars on your team. Need to curse the enemy? Wand of Stars. Need mana accumulation for extra turn? Wand of Stars. Like with most teams, just put a Wand of Stars on it, it's probably fine. And yeah, Mistmother's kind of similar, where Wand of Stars, Mistmother, and like 2 other damage sources, and you're good to go. Doesn't even matter what they are. Or even just 1 other damage source, and the other one just, you know, Leprechaun or something else to get the team off the ground, and you're already good to go. So that's pretty much going to be his main core build, doing around that kind of premise, like Leprechaun into Wand of Stars into whatever your main kill condition is, or doing into 1 to 6 color dragons and other similar things, or most of its main builds, unless you're building out for a specific game mode, like one of these teams would end up being. But otherwise, overall, great Mythic. 100% advise getting it. You have the next week to go and get it. And of course, if you don't have the keys for it now, we have Vault Event weekend going on right now. So great time to be going and grinding it out. I'll definitely be streaming it tonight as well, messing with this dragon a little bit more. Honestly, I'm just going to be farming Explore 12 the whole time. See if it's actually going to be worthwhile, or if we're going to go back to a double cast team. But it'd be interesting to see exactly how it pans out. overall over like a longer duration of time, just kind of test it. But it does seem like getting an extra turn is posing a little bit more of an issue to it than I initially anticipated compared to just double casting, you know, Flower Dragon or double casting Stellarex. It seems a lot more consistent. They're already really good at getting their mana back. You know, casting them a second time isn't that big of a delay. And while winning is quicker if you can end up getting the extra turn, it's a lot more inconsistent. Like, you're not always getting it every single time, so it does have that barrier. The main barrier being just getting a single extra turn. But once it does that, it gets off the ground and it's good to go. But anyways, best of luck on trying to get the new Mythic. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave in the comment section below. Also, feel free to share your teams. We'd love to see them. And yeah, we'll be streaming tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the channel and messing around with this dragon more, as well as, of course, farming out the good old Vault event weekend. Best of luck, everyone, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.